I wanted to talk to you today about parabolas and completing the square and how they're connected, how it's nice to know about doing both, graphing parabolas and completing the square. So I'm going to start off with a basic parabola. I chose one that is going to go up, and you can see that because the a value is positive 2, so that means that parabola is going to go up. And this parabola right now is what we call in standard form ax squared plus bx plus c. And you can either factor it or you can use the quadratic formula in order to start solving for what we call the roots or the zeros. I'm going to go ahead and factor it only because I think this parabola is going to be pretty nice and easy to factor. I pull out that 2 first from every term, then I completely factor it. And finally, I'm going to go ahead and let y be 0 so I can solve for the roots. And it ends up, I get 2 real roots at -2 and at 4. So I'm going to go ahead and put those 2 roots on my graph on the x-axis at -2 and at 4. And now I know my parabola is going to hit the x-axis in 2 places. Not all parabolas do that, and this one will. Next, I'm going to go ahead and let x equals 0 for my y-intercept. And you can actually plug in 0 to any form of the parabola. You can plug it into standard form, you can plug it in a factored form, vertex form, whatever. But when I plug in 0, I'm going to go ahead and get the y-intercept. It's going to cross at -16. And so again, let x equal 0, let y equal 0, and you will get both sets of intercepts, x-intercepts and y-intercepts. Next, I'm going to go ahead and find the axis of symmetry. All parabolas are symmetric, and I can use the formula x equals -b over 2a. Or if you forget that formula, you can actually just take the average of the 2 roots on the x-axis, because it's right in the middle between those 2 roots. So -b over 2a, I end up with getting +1. So I know that right at x equals +1, drew a little line right there, my vertex is going to live there. It's probably going to live a little bit lower than -16 because I know my parabola is going to open up. So how do I find where the vertex actually is? I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to plug in 1 into my graph. And again, doesn't matter what form you plug it into, you're just going to plug it into the x values. And I went ahead and I plugged it into the original standard form, and I got a y value that is -18. So my vertex is going to be 1, -18. I can go ahead and put that down there, and I think I'm ready to graph my parabola. So there it is, opens up, completely symmetric, about x equals 1. I even erased that x-axis of symmetry because I don't really need it anymore. And now let's see how it's connected to completing the square. So here's my original equation that I got. And a couple of philosophies about completing that square, that -16, some people move it over and keep it on the right-hand side. I'm actually going to move it to the left-hand side. Leave a little space because I'm about to do some things. I have a pesky little a value of 2 that I'm going to factor out first. And I end up with x squared minus 2x. I'm going to leave a little space there. That value, -2, I'm going to go ahead and take that and divide it by 2, and I get -1, and then I'm going to square it and put that into my equation. Now it looks like I only added a 1 on the right hand side of my equation, but remember that 1 is being multiplied by 2 on the outside there, so I'm actually going to have to balance the left side of the equation by adding that same value, that amount of 2. So now I added 2 on one side and I added 2 on the other side. Okay, and so I end up with an x minus 1 quantity squared value from that trinomial. Then I'm going to go ahead and put the 2 back and simplify on the left. I get y plus 18. And finally, one last step, move the 18 back. Fantastic. Looks great. Notice what I have. I have now completed my square, and this equation is what we call vertex form, or some books will call it graphing form. And notice it tells me what the vertex is, but I already know what the vertex is because I found it by doing x equals negative b over 2a. So you can actually do it either way, and neither way is wrong. They're both actually pretty awesome, and they help verify one over the other. Okay, what else happened to the parabola? That parabola was stretched by 2, which means that every y value was multiplied by 2, so it's quite skinny of a parabola. Instead of going over 1 and up 1, from the vertex it goes over 1 and up 2. So let's quickly recap what happened, just so that we can remember. We had a parabola that opened up, looks something a little like this. Great. If you want to find roots of your parabola, you're going to let y equal 0 and solve for x however is easiest for you. And then you're going to let x equal to 0 to solve for y. And then finally, you're going to go ahead and decide, it's up to you, to either complete the square, if you like doing that, and that'll solve for that vertex, or you can use negative b over 2a and plug it back into the equation and get that y value. Thanks for listening. Have a great day.